guys, welcome back to my channel. So honestly, it feels like I've been trying to come on here for days just to get this video up. I know it's been like 10 days or something since I've uploaded a video, so I apologize for that. There's just so much going on. We're moving on January 1st, and then we have Christmas coming up on the 25th, so my husband and I are just honestly going crazy with all of the Christmas shopping and packing and all of that, and our house is a pretty big size house, so it's extremely, it's just taking forever to pack everything, and it's just been a lot lately. But so anyways, I am here and we're going to record this video tonight, which is really super awkward for me because I'm actually really used to recording in like the afternoon time. So for me to record at night is not like me, but I really wanted to get this up because it sort of goes with the Chester Bennington video reading that I did, and so I just wanted to get it up sooner than later. But if you are new here, welcome. My name's Hilary. I am a medium psychic, and on my channel I do readings, obviously, and usually it's for true crime cases and missing people. I am gifted through all of my clairs. If you don't know what clairs are, I explained them in my previous videos for everybody. I'm not going to explain them again because it just makes this video extra long and the intro very long. Some of you guys like it, some of you don't. So if you are interested in how I receive my gifts and how I'm a medium psychic and all that, you may watch previous videos and I explain them. Okay, so like I said, today's video is going to be about Chris Cornell. So Christopher, just a little bit of information about him. Christopher John Cornell. He was born July 20th, 1964, and he passed away May 18th, 2017. He was an American singer, a songwriter, and a musician, best known as the lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist for the rock bands Soundgarden and Audioslave. He also had a solo career and contributed to soundtracks. Cornell was also the founder and the frontman of Temple of the Dog, and a one-off tribute band dedicated to his late friend Andrew Wood. So Cornell struggled with depression for most of his life. He was found dead in his Detroit hotel room in early hours of May 18th, 2017, after performing at a Soundgarden concert an hour earlier at the Fox Theater. Okay, so first thing I have to say is my disclaimer, which is that this video is for entertainment purposes only. So anything that I say, you know, you don't have to take it as the truth, and we all are intuitive in our own ways, so we all have different feelings about things, and I'm not always going to get everything right all the time because the messages I do receive from Spirit are not always, they're not always easy to understand because communication can be sort of wonky. So with that being said, I'm just going to get into my impressions, and when I do my readings, I usually meditate, and sometimes it takes me a few tries to connect with the spirit. If I don't connect with the spirit directly, then I will connect with my spirit guides and ask them about the case if it is meant for me to do. Sometimes cases are not meant for me to do, and I know that because I'm not getting any information from the spirit who passed over or the spirits who passed over, as well as from my spirit guides. I just know because it's not meant for me. There are cases where I know I have to do them because there's many signs that spirit will send me. They'll say their name over and over again, or I'll just hear things that relate to that person or the case, and that's just their way of telling me that this case is for you to do. So the main reason and purpose I do this channel, and the reason I do this, is because I want to be a voice for the victims that otherwise did not have a voice when they were here in human form. It's very, very important because a lot of spirits didn't get a chance to say what they wanted to say. Alright, so the very first thing that happened in my meditation was I wrote down, I have to be honest and say I don't know much about Chris Cornell, and it was hard really for me to connect with him at first because he is now in a much higher dimension. So the higher dimensions that they are in, I notice with me as a psychic medium, and all psychic mediums get things differently, I can't connect with them as easy. So, and also it depends on the spirit themselves and how advanced and easily they can communicate with humans as well, because they also have to practice that on the other side and get good at it. So when I finally connected with him, and I did connect with him, I was blown away with how intense his energy is. And what I meant by that is that he is a very evolved soul. Even when he was on this earth, he was very evolved. And he it's almost like his energy was felt by everyone around him, no matter what room he entered or where he was just everyone was just like attracted to him and would go up to him and talk to him. And even like when he wasn't trying to be seen or heard. So he was very connected with the other realms here on Earth when he was in human form. And he was also gifted, okay? And he just didn't realize it. So when I noticed this about his energy, because he hasn't said much yet, this is just me sort of using my clairessence to feel his energy. He hasn't used clairaudient or really direct or communicated with me directly yet. I was just sort of, I connected with his energy, but it wasn't like he didn't really notice that I was connecting with him yet. It's really hard to explain when you do what I do. But so when he realized that I was connecting with him to channel him, he does connect with me, and the very first thing he does is he sort of like grins and like laughs, and he says that he says to me, "Trust me, I tried to blend in as much as I could." Because what I noticed about his energy was that people noticed him everywhere he went, even when he didn't want to be noticed. So he laughed at that and said, "Trust me, I tried to blend in." And I asked him if we can talk more about his life and about him. And he says yes. And in my visions, he takes me to a table, which they like to do often, sort of like sitting down, having coffee together. And we sit in a room with a lot of instruments, and there's a lot of guitars. So this, what I'm getting from this is where he resides. His spirit goes to a lot to relax and just be himself. So he says that I asked him to tell me about him, since I don't know much about him, and I apologize for it because I feel bad about it. And he's very understanding, and he tells me it's okay not to feel bad. It's like his energy is extremely cool and collected, even though it's intense. It's sort of hard to explain, but he tells me he was very introverted when he was in human form, and even now that's just the way his soul, the energy of his soul is, and he liked to keep to himself, especially in his early years of his life. He said he felt things so strong, even as a child, from other humans, and was gifted. He just didn't understand that's what he was, that he was such a strong empath, and he was so gifted, and that's why he picked up so much from other people. He didn't understand that, especially as a child, which a lot of us don't. A lot of us are empaths, and we don't understand a lot about why we are the way we are. I was one of those people, and I do have a video on my spiritual awakening if you guys are wondering. So he says that is why he was so distant, though, and he was such an introvert, was because he just picked up on so much energy, which is very common for people who are empaths or are gifted. So he says that, so I resonate with him, as in I tell him, I understand, I'm the same way type of thing. And I tell him that I completely get that as an empath, and I ask him if there is anything he wants to say to his family, if he wants me to say anything to his family. He says that his wife, Vicky, blames herself, and he wishes that she wouldn't, and especially in the beginning, he says she blamed herself. He said one thing he immediately regretted after crossing was what he put her and his kids through with his drug addictions throughout his life. He says he was depressed, yes, he says, but it wasn't all his life, and he wishes that she didn't have to see him, and his children did not have to see him suffer throughout his time here in his life. He shows me in my visions her bringing him like a smoothie, like a healthy one, and he tells me that she was always trying to get him to eat healthy and she just was trying everything she could in her power to make him feel better. He then laughs, and he says, but yet she would drink her special drink. So I'm guessing he said special drink. So I'm guessing maybe alcohol in front of me, and he's just laughing because he was a little, she was always trying to get him to eat healthy, but she wasn't always that healthy. But he says that he's been working hard at helping his kids and wife heal from the other side, and that they are making a lot of progress. But he has been, and he still is very worried about his family. So I do want to say that the reason he's worried so much about his family is because they were sort of in a way, and the word I keep hearing is brainwashed, to believe that he committed suicide and that he did it on purpose. And that made him very angry. He doesn't want his children to look at it that way. So he says that he doesn't want his children to have to live with the guilt and that they didn't make him happy, or because that's what children do, is they blame themselves, he's saying. And that especially when he first passed away, he said that there was a lot about people saying that he committed suicide, and it was just constantly being repeated. And what he's saying to me is that it made him really angry, because the more you say things, especially with children, because they're like sponges, the more they're going to believe that, because that isn't really the truth as to what happened. So we're going to get more into that and what he told me. So I asked him about his passing, and I immediately begin to feel dizzy and sick, okay? And he's very straightforward about it, and tells me that he did relapse in the months before he passed away. He says that he was not diagnosed properly, and that he took advantage of his sobriety. He says that he felt something was off with his medication for a while, but he didn't say anything, and he regrets doing that. He says he should have said something about the medication not working. And so the medication on top of the drug use did make him like loopy. It made him not himself. It made him feel like he couldn't really be as aware of things as he would like to be, is sort of the feeling I'm getting, that he's trying to like get to me, that he just wasn't completely with it, because he was medicated, he was diagnosed wrong, is what he's saying. He was on the wrong medications, he was on the wrong doses, and then he relapsed, so he was having drug use again. So I sympathize with him again, and he tells me that he sees the truth now about what happened. And I ask him, like, what truth is that? And he says the next thing he tells me is that he's shocked, but he is a bit hesitant from telling me this, because he says that it's a very touchy thing to talk about. He then tells me that he was shocked, and shows me in my third eye him leaving his body when he passed, and him standing over his body, feeling bad and guilty about what he did, almost like I'm hearing, oh my god, I did that, I can't believe I did that, I didn't want to do that. He did not want to do that. His suicide was not intentional, is what I'm strongly hearing. So he then says, he shakes his head like, I can't believe it, and says, I didn't see it coming. He then says, even though he died at his own hands, that his suicide was not intentional. I ask him what he means by that, and he tells me that he wasn't aware of being cautious about the type of people that he was letting into his life, people he should have not trusted, and that when he crossed over, he could see more clearly the true colors, is what I'm hearing, of these people. Because he says that if he wasn't so not himself in the months that he passed away, he honestly feels like this never would have happened. He did not intentionally leave his children. He did not intentionally leave his wife or his family. That's what I'm strongly hearing. He's a little bit better about it now, because he's saying the truth is going to come out, and I'm not quite understanding why I keep hearing that or what he means by that, but he says that he was more angry when he first passed, and now it's sort of subsiding because it's coming very soon, he says. And he notices that I look a bit confused, and he sort of smiles, and he says that he was being brainwashed to be okay with things that he knew and was seeing, and that this was done by people messing with the drugs he was taking on purpose to make him so out of it. And he did this with his fingers, like, out of it. And he said that he should have spoken up about what he was seeing and what he witnessed. So if you watch my Chester Bennington reading, I talk about there's a lot of things going on with sex trafficking and with it's just very sad with children sex trafficking, and a lot of things that are being seen by people, like musicians and people in bands that know about it, and nothing is being done, nothing is being said. So he said that he was going to speak up. Him and Chester and some others were going to speak up about this, the things that they were seeing. And this was obviously people found out in the music industry, is what I keep hearing, that he was going to say something. So I asked him if it has anything to do with Chester, and he says yes, and others, but I seen things that I should not have seen, and before I died, I was becoming aware of the wrongfulness of it all. So what I just said. He tells me that his kids and some other family members of his are also aware of this intuitively, but they too are still being brainwashed because people keep telling them that he committed suicide. And I feel like he's saying that the things are better now, like his children are intuitively picking up, and more is coming out about the truth about his death, so he is not so worried as he was before about it. But he's still around them and worries about them a lot and about what they believe, because it's going to affect their overall life in the long run, right? It's trauma, and trauma affects us throughout our whole life, and that's why it worries him so much. And I keep hearing over and over again, I would not leave my kids, I would not leave my family. So, Chester said the same thing. So he says that he did not commit suicide, like it wasn't intentional, like we've already said. And I get a very angry energy when he's talking about this. He says they painted a picture to make him look mentally ill on purpose, so people didn't have to find out the truth about his passing, and about what was being hidden. So he says that there are managers and other band members and people in the music industry that he was involved with that were all and still are worried and scared about what he knows and what he can do, even though he is on another dimension. So what he means by that is spirits on the other side, sorry, my daughter is trying to get my attention. I'm telling her 1 second. So spirits on the other side, they try and intervene in our lives when they have to by using energy. Everything's energy. So what they do is they try and use thoughts and emotions, and they have this very strong, powerful, energetic force in their, like we all do even as humans, but like when we're a soul, what I'm getting is it's even stronger. So what I'm getting, it's really hard to put into words, is that he is still working on the other side to get these things to be brought to the light, is what I'm hearing. He's still working, him and Chester and others. Like I'm seeing, like I did in the last reading, a bunch of children, like in my visions, just standing there beside him, and he's in the middle, sort of like, we are not going to back down, we are not going to give up, we are going to keep trying our best over here to influence things on the earth for these to come to the light. It's hard to understand. So he says that, so I ask him, still are, so like you still are trying to make things, to get the secrets out. He said, and he laughed and said, well, yeah, I am talking to you. And so he was just kind of saying, like, yeah, I'm working with people, mediums, psychics, and others, and family members, he says, to get in other people in the music industry to get this to be out there, okay? So he nods and smirks and says, yes, because we are not backing down. He then shows me himself, I already said this, standing with the children. And he said, over here, we are working with humans to bring this all to the light. So I asked him what it was that he knew, and he said to me, Hilary, you already feel what it is, and others do too, but if I give you names, then that could put you in a lot of trouble. But I promise all of this is going to unravel, and already is, and just by being a voice like you do is more than enough. And that was incredible to hear. That was amazing. So he then tells me part of his purpose on the other side is that he is being a guide to those who are mentally ill, especially children. But also here on Earth, he, like the children over there and the children here that are struggling, he's a guide for them. He says that too many people believe he was mentally ill and doesn't want his children, he doesn't want his children to believe that. That's something that he's extremely assertive about. So then we disconnect. He says, thank you for connecting with me and getting my truth heard. And I thank him, and then we do like an energetic hug, which is like a thing that a lot of spirits will do, is hug you energetically. So that is the reading that I got with on Chris Cornell. I think it was amazing to connect with him. I just loved connecting with him. It just made me feel so comforted, and it was just incredible. I don't know how to explain it, but that is what I got you guys for Chris Cornell. I hope that it brings some clarity and all that stuff that I always say. And if you are interested in my videos and you want to see more of my videos, subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff so that you can see more of my videos, and it just helps my channel out a lot. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Love and light. Bye, guys.